Hello, everybody, and welcome to this session. Let me just, okay, hopefully you can see my screen now. Apologies for the slight hiccup there. Hello and welcome to this session, which is on introducing personalised results for starters, movers and flyers. There we go. Right. My name's Angela Wright, and I'm Global Product Manager Schools at Cambridge Assessment English. And as you can see, I've already had a couple of hiccups. Like you, I'm at home, so do bear with us if we have any technology glitches, but we'll try to give you the best experience possible today. Just a couple of things before we begin. Some of you have been at other sessions, so you'll know this, but headphones can help improve the sound quality. We recommend you shut down any other programs, and in particular Skype, and bear with us if the picture's a bit fuzzy at the beginning. It should improve with time. It's just the live streaming. We will be asking you to use the chat today, but as I can see that you're all perfectly capable of using it, so I don't need to ask you that. And I'll give you a fairly brief introduction to the personalised results, but we like to spend time with Q&A, so if you have any questions, type them into the separate Q&A box. So let's get going. Seems to be a delay on moving screens. There we go. I want to begin by asking you a question. I want to ask you, why do you think young learners take exams? So we often think exams provide a qualification that you can use to get into university or to get a good job. But starters, movers and flyers are aimed at learners aged 6 to 12. So they're not looking for jobs at university. So why do they take exams? If you could just type your answers into the chat box. Motivation, great answer. Parents force them, not such a great answer. It's coming in too quickly for me to read. Motivation again, I can see for evaluation, see if they're ready for the next class. Experience. You're going so quickly, I can't keep up. Assessment to be better. Teacher tells them to, I think that one was. Okay, children like the challenge. There's some very interesting answers there. Okay, I think there are two core reasons. And one is that it's to recognise their achievements and to motivate them. And this is where the certificate comes in, and we're keeping the certificate. It's not changing. And it gives learners up to 5 shields in each of the parts of the exam. So reading and writing, listening and speaking. And this is designed to recognise achievement and to motivate learners. So there's no pass or fail at young learners. So it's very motivating and rewarding. But at this stage, there's another aspect to why learners take exams. And that is because they're designed to have a positive impact on what happens in class, on how teachers teach, on what they teach. And the exam can help to set goals and measure progress against those goals. And when we did research, we found that the shields can give general indication of how strong a learner is and the different skills, but that parents and teachers wanted more feedback. And this would help them better understand progress and support further learning. And so we've introduced a new statement of results, which gives personalised feedback. Let's look at it in more detail. So it gives still the shields. That's in the same way as the certificate. They'll get that on the statement of results too. It indicates the learner's strengths, and it also indicates things they need to work on. Now, if we look at this child in the example, they've got 5 shields for each of the skills, so they're a very strong candidate, but they still have a suggestion for something to work on because there's always room for improvement. And the same is true if you're a weak candidate. You might get quite a lot of things to work on, but you'll always get a strength to motivate further progress. And then it gives practical ideas on what to do to improve. So let's look at that those in more detail because I know the size is pretty small. So this is an example of some strengths. So these are broken down not just at skill level, but at sub-skill. So for example, these are at movers level, but the same will apply in starters and flyers, adjusted for the level. But at movers level, for example, this candidate might be able to tell basic stories in English, or have simple conversations about people and events, or they can write simple sentences to describe things or read simple sentences too. Things to work on are generally the opposite. They need more practice in these areas, but the statements are written in a similar way. And what can they do to improve? Well, these are designed to be very practical suggestions that the learner can do at home with their parent, or that they can do with the guidance of a teacher. So for example, they might be given guidance every day, write a sentence about something that you can find at home. They don't need any specific tools to do that. Or it could be read one story a week in English, or listen to songs in English. So they're all easy to do, practical ideas. Now in 2018, we revised starters, movers and flyers, and at the time we changed the back of the certificate to look like this. And the back of the statement of results will be exactly the same. It looks exactly the same as the back of the certificate. This is designed to explain what the shields mean, and it comes in two parts. So the top part is a table which shows how the shields align to the CFR level and how they broadly align to the Cambridge English scale, which becomes more relevant as they go on to Key for Schools and above. For example, a child who's taken movers, if they get 4 or 5 shields in the different skills, they're at A1 level. The other purpose of this table is it helps parents and learners understand how they progress as they move through the different young learners' levels. So they can see if they've taken starters and then movers and then flyers, how they're progressing as they go along and as they go on up into the next levels, Key for Schools and above. Whereas the bottom part of the statement of results explains what the CFR levels mean in terms of can-do statements. So what a child can typically do at each level, in each skill. Now we know that reading these statements, parents don't always speak English. And certainly learners at pre-A1 to A2 level might not understand the statements fully either. So where feasible, and for some languages, we're providing bilingual versions of the statement of results, which we got an example here of Spanish and highlighted the strengths in Spanish. So if a candidate gets a bilingual version, they'll get it in English and in Spanish. It has the same information in both languages, over 4 pages. And it has both the front and the back translated. And on the left, you can see the languages that we've translated it into. So any candidate taking the exam in France will get the bilingual French version. And Portuguese will apply in both Brazil and Portugal, and Spanish in the rest of Latin America and in Spain. So they'll automatically get their language plus English. And having an easy to understand statement of results like this really helps to support further learning. If it's not available in your language, well, as a teacher, you can use the statement of results when you're having conversations with parents to help them understand it. It can help to inform parents' meetings. Another great advantage of these statements of results is that they're available online. So those of you who are already teaching starters, movers and flyers, you'll know that the results come in the form of the certificate. That is dispatched from Cambridge to the centre. That takes 2 or 3 days. Then from the centre to the school, can take another 2 or 3 days, possibly longer even. And then the school distributes it to the candidate and the parent. Well, that time will be saved because you'll be able to get your results online. You'll still have to wait for the certificate, but you'll know what the result is in advance. So that's a great help. So how can you access them? Well, those of you who are familiar with our other exams, you may know about the Preparation Centre Results online portal, we call it our website. And this is where you can go as a school to access your learners' results. Normally, only one person in a school has access to this portal. It could be your exam administrator, it could be another teacher or the head teacher, for example. So try to find out who that is if you don't know. And if you can't find anyone, then you'll need to contact your exam centre and ask them if you're registered, and if not, to register you for future sessions. For candidates and parents, we've got a separate candidate website. Again, this is already being used for our other exams. In order for parents to access this, they'll need to have an ID number and a secret number. And these can be found on the candidate's statement of confirmation of entry. So this might be new to parents, so well, you might need to educate them and help them with this initially and how to access it. And they need to register there to get the results. So when are they available? Well, for any exams taken from the 1st of September. So if you've already done exams in September, they'll be coming through at the end of the month, approximately, or early October. So any exams taken from now on, you'll get the statement of results. So just to recap then, what are the benefits of this and why have we done it? The personalised feedback will help teachers, parents and learners to understand in more detail how children are progressing and help inform further learning. They're designed to be easy to understand and bilingual where it's feasible. And the results will be available online, so available as soon as they're ready. Now, I've done that quite quickly, 10 minutes or so. We will be doing a much more detailed webinar on the 29th of September and 1st of October. So if you want more detail, do sign up for that webinar. You can find the link on cambridgeenglish.org, and that will explain not only what the results are, but how they were developed and practical ideas for how you as a teacher can use the feedback in class and how you can use it to inform your conversations with parents. And you can also find more information on these results at the web link at the bottom of that page. So we've got 10 minutes or 5 to 10 minutes for questions. So I'll go into the Q&A box. If you have any questions, do type them in and do let me know your feedback in the chat box. I can see Helen's asked a question. If a student gets an A, do they automatically receive the B1 certificate? For young learners, results aren't reported in terms of A, B and C. They're reported in terms of shields. And flyers, the maximum is 5 shields. So no, at flyers level, it's not designed for upward certification, so they won't get a B1 certificate. That starts at key for schools and above level. Another question from Helen, is the certificate translated in Spanish, for example, for higher level tests like preliminary? No, at the moment, the certificate's not translated for any test. The statement of results is only going to be translated for starters, movers and flyers. Monica's asking, will it be available for other levels such as key and preliminary? Not for the time being. We need to assess how successful it is, first of all, for starters, movers and flyers, and also the way the exams are designed for key and preliminary, it's a bit more difficult to do. So for starters, movers and flyers, each task is clearly assessing a specific sub-skill. Whereas in key and above, it's a bit more mixed, so it's more difficult to draw out the feedback from each task. Can teachers working privately access the portal for a statement of results? That's a good question. You should be able to you need to check with your centre, your exam centre, if you're registered and how, but I don't see why it shouldn't be possible. Are there any exams now during the pandemic? Well, that's not linked to the results, but yes, check again with your local centre. Lots of our centres are running exams. I don't know which country you're in who's asking that, but in Europe and Asia in particular, we're running exams busier than a normal September because people are catching up from exams they had to miss in May and June. In Latin America, it's a bit quieter at the moment, but there are some countries where they're available. So do check with your local centre what the current situation is. I'm trying to see questions that are specifically about the statements of results. There's a question, will the speaking examiners be writing this feedback? No, the feedback is automated. The results are for each task are put into the system, each task separately. Because each task is assessing a different skill, then the right statements are chosen according to how the candidate did in the task. So it's an automated process. So the speaking examiner gives their marks, and that's fed into the system, but then the results are auto-generated. There's a few questions about, will I get this in my language? For the moment, we're doing only those 7 languages. But as I said, you still get the benefit of faster results, you get the shields, and you as a teacher can use the statement of results in your conversations with teachers and help them to understand it. There's a question, do students ever fail young learners? No, there is no pass or fail. So they'll get 1 or 2 shields if they're weaker, 4 or 5 shields if they're stronger. But they're very much designed as exams that motivate learners. And that's the ethos behind these statements of results, is to keep that motivation. We did consider, should we give scores instead of statements? Because we know some people often say they want scores. But we decided against it because at this level that can be quite demotivating. It can lead to competition between parents as well as learners. You know, they're comparing their scores, and that can be demotivating. So we wanted to ensure that the feedback was positive. There's a question here about, is it something that parents can use in the time of a pandemic? Help parenting? Well, yes, at the moment it's very useful to help parents and help support them in supporting their learners. And this is something that can help that. If their child's taken an exam, the parent can see how the child's done and they can use the ideas on how to improve to do activities at home. So they can encourage their child to write about sentences about something in the home, for example. Somebody's asking, can I download the table of levels? Yes, you should be able to find a copy of the statement of results back and front and the certificates on the website cambridgeenglish.org, or the link I had in my presentation, which you should get a recording to. Is the statement for students taking the exam from 1st of September on only? Yes, it is. It's not backdated to past exams, for example, so it's only for exams taken from the 1st of September. No, that's an interesting question. Would you advise a child who's really motivated to do an exam, even if you think they will only get 2 shields in certain parts? And I probably would advise them to study for a bit longer. I would still advise them to prepare for an exam and carry on to prepare for the exam, but to give them a bit longer, give them another 6 months or another year, because otherwise the result could be demotivating for them. Okay, I think those are all the questions I've got time to answer. So thank you very much for attending today's session, and I do hope you've enjoyed the event and found today useful. Thank you very much, everybody. Bye-bye.